Your bedroom has been quietly working against your sleep for years, and you've never noticed. What follows are 10 pieces of technology that fix it, piece by piece, until the very last one changes everything. It starts with something most people never question: light. Even in a room that looks dark, streetlights, hallway glow, and the first hint of sunrise are still reaching your eyes, quietly pulling you out of deep sleep before your alarm ever does. Bringnox blackout shades close that gap completely. They motorize into place at the exact time you choose, sealing the room in true edge-to-edge darkness. No gaps, no glow, no compromise. Control them from an app, set them on a schedule, or let them sync with sunrise and sunset so your body wakes up on its own terms instead of the outside world's. It's not a luxury upgrade. It's the baseline every other improvement on this list depends on. And starting from $119, that baseline is remarkably easy to fix. But sealing the room in darkness only solves what's coming from outside it. What's happening inside, the sound you're making without even knowing it, needs a different kind of fix. Snoring is one of those problems you rarely catch yourself doing, but the people around you catch every night. The Nitetronic A1 listens for it in real time, then gently, almost imperceptibly, shifts your head position through a series of independent air chambers until your airway opens back up. No sound, no waking, no jolt. It builds a picture of your sleep over time through its companion app, tracking exactly when and why snoring happens, so the intervention gets smarter the longer you use it. This isn't about muting a symptom. It's about resolving the mechanics behind it while you stay completely asleep. At $449, it's a targeted fix for a problem most people have simply learned to live with. Once the room is dark and the body is quiet, the next question is how you actually fall asleep, and more importantly, how you wake up. Most people fall asleep under a bright overhead light and wake up to a jarring alarm, then wonder why neither transition ever feels natural. The Sleepal AI Lamp is built around a simple idea. Light should guide your body into sleep and back out of it, not fight against the process. In the evening, it slowly dims and warms, mimicking a natural sunset to cue melatonin production early. In the morning, it reverses that, brightening like a sunrise, so you wake up alert instead of shocked out of deep sleep. But the lamp itself is only half the story. Inside, Sleepal is a contactless sleep system trained on thousands of nights of real sleep data, quietly tracking your breathing, movement, snoring, and the exact moments your sleep gets broken by noise or light in the room. Everything is processed locally, so the most personal data you have, how you actually sleep, never has to leave your own bedroom. That same data lets the light adapt over time instead of running on a fixed schedule. For $299, it replaces two broken habits: harsh light at night and a harsh alarm in the morning, with one continuous, intelligent, privacy-first system. Once your environment is guiding you correctly, the next layer is understanding what's actually happening while you sleep, not just guessing at it. Most sleep tracking lives on your wrist, which means you have to remember to wear something every single night for it to work. Ultrahuman Home removes that requirement entirely. It sits quietly on your nightstand and reads your sleep ambiently, tracking temperature, humidity, light, and sound in the room, while contactlessly monitoring things like your breathing patterns and movement through the night. There's nothing to charge before bed, nothing to strap on, nothing to remember. In the morning, it hands you a clear picture of what actually happened while you were unconscious, how long you spent in deep sleep, what disrupted it, and what in your environment might be working against you. It's the difference between guessing why you feel tired and actually knowing. Over time, it starts connecting patterns you never catch on your own. A slightly warmer room correlating with more restless nights, or a specific hour when your sleep consistently gets interrupted. It turns your bedroom from a black box into something you can actually optimize without adding a single extra habit to your routine. At $549, it's less a gadget and more a second, honest opinion on how well you're actually sleeping. Understanding your sleep is one thing. Protecting it from the sounds you can't control is another. Traffic outside, a partner's breathing, a neighbor's late-night habits, none of it is in your control, but all of it can quietly fragment a night's sleep without you ever fully waking up to notice. Fitnexa SomniPods 3 are built specifically to be worn through the night, which most earbuds simply aren't designed for. They're low profile enough to sleep on your side without discomfort, and they actively mask disruptive noise with soundscapes and gentle audio designed to keep your brain in deep sleep, instead of pulling it toward alertness every time a car passes outside. They also double as a smart alarm, waking you gently through sound directly in your ear, rather than jolting you and anyone next to you awake with a blaring speaker. Battery life is built around all-night use, not just a few hours of listening, and the case recharges them fast enough that they're always ready by the time you need them again. For anyone sharing a space, a thin-walled apartment, or a home on a busy street, this solves a category of sleep disruption that blackout shades and smart lighting simply can't touch. Starting at $169, it's a quiet, literal fix for a very loud problem. But protecting your sleep from outside noise only helps once your mind is actually ready to switch off, and that's often the hardest part of the night.
The hardest part of falling asleep usually isn't the room. It's the fact that your mind is still running at full speed when your head hits the pillow. Therabody SmartGoggles are built specifically for that gap between lying down and actually switching off. They combine gentle heat, rhythmic compression around the eyes and temples, and calming vibration to physically pull your nervous system out of alert mode, the same way a deep breath or a warm bath does, just far more precisely and consistently. The second generation adds guided audio programs built around breathwork and wind-down routines, so the experience isn't just physical relaxation, it's a full sensory cue that tells your brain it's time to stop. 10 to 20 minutes with them on is often enough to shift someone from wired to genuinely drowsy, turning what used to be 30 minutes of scrolling or staring at the ceiling into an actual transition into sleep. It's become the kind of ritual people build their entire wind-down routine around, less a gadget used occasionally, more a signal given to the body every single night. At $439, it's less about the device itself and more about finally having a reliable off switch for a mind that doesn't naturally have one. Once the mind is calm, the final barrier to actually falling asleep is often neurological, not physical, and that requires a more direct approach.
Even a relaxed body can lie awake for another 20 or 30 minutes waiting for the brain to actually follow. The Somnee headband targets that gap directly, using gentle neurostimulation to guide your brainwaves toward the patterns associated with sleep onset, rather than just waiting for it to happen naturally. Each session adapts to your own brain activity in real time, learning what actually works for you specifically, rather than applying a generic pattern to everyone who wears it. For people who describe themselves as having a mind that won't turn off, this is the layer that finally addresses the neurological side of sleeplessness, instead of just the environmental one. At $389 plus membership, it's a direct answer to the part of sleep no lamp or blackout shade was ever going to solve. With the mind finally settled, what's left to fix is the air you're actually breathing through all of it. Most people never think about air quality as a sleep issue, but dust, allergens, and stale recirculated air are quietly responsible for congestion, dry throats, and restless nights that get blamed on everything except the actual cause. Blueair Mini Restful is built specifically for bedrooms, small enough to sit on a nightstand without dominating the space, but powerful enough to filter the air around your bed multiple times through the night. It runs near silently and automatically adjusts its speed based on the air quality it detects, rather than running at a fixed setting. It's also built to do more than purify. The same small unit doubles as a nightlight for those middle-of-the-night trips across the room, and a sunrise clock that eases you awake with gradually brightening light instead of a jarring alarm. One device quietly doing the job of three. The difference shows up less as a dramatic before and after, and more as an absence. No more waking up congested. No more dry throat by morning. At $123, it's one of the smallest investments on this list, solving one of the most overlooked problems in it. At this point, every piece of the room is working correctly on its own. The next step is making sure they all work together.
9 devices working independently is still 9 separate things to manage. 9 apps, 9 schedules, 9 small decisions every single night. The Aqara Smart Home Hub M3 exists to remove that friction entirely, connecting your shades, lighting, air purifier, and sensors into a single system that responds to your actual routine instead of asking you to operate each piece manually. Say one phrase or simply get into bed and the shades close, the lamp begins its wind-down sequence, the air purifier adjusts, and the room shifts into sleep mode as one coordinated environment instead of a collection of separate gadgets. It also acts as a local hub, meaning faster response times and less reliance on the cloud for something as basic as turning off a light. This is the piece that turns everything before it from a list of smart products into an actual smart bedroom, one that anticipates what you need instead of waiting to be told. Starting from $159, it's the layer that makes every other upgrade on this list feel effortless, instead of like one more thing to manage. Every upgrade so far has improved a piece of the room around you. The last one rebuilds the surface you actually sleep on.
Temperature is one of the single biggest disruptors of deep sleep, and it's also the one thing a dark, quiet, clean-aired room still can't fully control on its own. Because comfort isn't just about the room, it's about the surface you're actually lying on. The 8 Sleep Pod 5 Ultra rebuilds that surface from the ground up. It actively heats or cools each side of the bed independently throughout the night, adjusting in real time as your body temperature naturally rises and falls through different sleep stages, so you're never fighting the mattress to stay comfortable. It tracks sleep stages, heart rate, and respiratory rate with a level of precision most wearables can't match, all without anything touching your skin. It can gently raise the head of the bed to reduce snoring before it starts, adjust firmness zones, and even wake you with a subtle temperature or vibration cue timed to your lightest sleep stage instead of jolting you awake mid-cycle. Where every previous upgrade improved something around you, this one improves the actual physical experience of lying there for 8 hours, which is, in the end, what all of this was ever really about. At $2,999, it's the most significant investment on this list, and the one that makes every improvement before it feel complete rather than partial.
None of these fix sleep by accident. Darkness, sound, air, temperature, and the mind itself, each piece on this list solves one part of a system that's been quietly working against you for longer than you realized. That's the actual shift here. Not one gadget promising a miracle, but 10 small corrections stacking into a bedroom that finally works with you instead of against you. You don't need all 10 to start. You need to know which part of your own sleep is actually broken and fix that piece first. If tonight's video showed you something you didn't know you needed, subscribe, because Gizmo Wonderland exists to keep finding the technology that quietly makes everyday life better, one upgrade at a time. Links to every single product on this list are waiting for you in the description below.